Hi folks, I'm here for Molly Mine for the long time awaited mirror for the purse book. Okay, everybody asks, what about the mirror? It seems hard to everybody, so I'm going to walk you through this step by step. The mirror top comes first, and it is done on accessories page 7, and there's several items on that. So when you get to the mirror step, that's where you're gonna do the top, and then the next file will be the bottom part. So I separated mine, so I'm starting out with just my organza and my tearaway paper, and I'm gonna do just the top of the mirror. I'm not gonna do the other portions of those accessories for the purpose of this tutorial. So I am gonna let you see what the first step of just the mirror looks like on here as soon as I get it stitched out. Okay folks, this is step 1 of the mirror. It's just a circle. So this is the part that is going to hold the actual mirror piece that you come up with, whether it's cardboard covered in foil, which is what I'm going to do, or if you buy mirror board, you need to cut that slightly smaller than this hole. So there's my little piece of ratty circle. See, I didn't even cut a good circle. It doesn't matter. It needs to be slightly smaller. I might even want mine just a little bit bigger, but I need room for my foil to go over this piece of cardboard. But that's just a good time to that's like a template for you to cut out your mirror piece. So I'm going to go ahead and fix up my mirror piece. I'm going to cover this with foil, and then I'm going to sew the second step, which is after I put my material down. And it's going to sew the next part of it, and I'll let you see exactly what we have to do after it sews down this material. Okay, here is what sews out next. And I've put foil, and it doesn't even matter how pretty it is because it's going to be hidden. The edges of it are going to be hidden underneath. Okay, so I am going to cut out the outside edge, and I'm going to cut out this piece. And I will show you. So all you're going to have left is this little ring of fabric. That's all you're going to have left, okay? Don't cut the stabilizer. Just cut out the inside and the outside. I'll do mine and then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, this is what you're going to have left. Now see if this starts to make sense. When we get this finished, it's going to sew all the finish. It'll sew the finishing edge on the inside hoop, and on the outside hoop, it's going to be it won't be a final satin stitch because it's going to do that in the next step. This outer edge is what's going to attach to the back piece, and it'll be on top of this. That's where it gets a little bit tricky, but you'll see. So this is just the top, and it's going to fit over my ring. So you can imagine I need the opening of this ring to be small enough that this won't pop through it. Does that make sense? I hope so. So I am going to pop this into the machine and do the next step, and then I'll show you how it looks before I take it out of the hoop. Okay, I forgot it was going to do a little decorative stitch in here before it does satin stitch. Now y'all don't make fun of my variegated thread. I'm trying to use up old threads, but I decided to play with variegated, so it looks like there's nothing over there. But it's going to sew this little decorative stitch inside the ring, and then the next step is going to be the satin stitch to the inside. Now, if it were me, I'm going to put the same color bobbin thread that's in the top thread because this is going to be a finished edge in here, and I don't want my bobbin threads to be showing on top. So now is the time to match your bobbin thread to your top thread. Okay, here's the final stitch. So now I can take this out of the hoop, and I can trim away the inside and the outside, and then we can load accessories page 8 into our machine, which is the bottom piece of the mirror, and I will walk you through that step by step. Okay folks, this is step 1 for accessories page 8. Alright, so as you read her instruction chart, it tells you after running this placement stitch, okay, it tells you to lay a piece of foam, craft foam, This is just craft foam. I have a piece of white. You can choose a color to match your fabric and thread, which is best because then it won't show when you tear it out. I don't have any pink, so I'm going to use white, knowing I can cover it up with a marker. So you're going to have your foam, as long as it's bigger than your outline stitch. First your foam, then your fabric. Okay, same thing. But you also have to have a piece of fabric underneath. This, however you want to secure it, with adhesive spray, tape, however you want to do it. Okay, that sandwich has to go back in your machine for the next stitch down. So you're going to have front and back covered, okay? So I'm going to do that next step, and then I'm going to show you how it looks. And just to make sure you understand, I'm going to show you one more time. It's going to sew the very first step. It doesn't matter that it didn't catch right there. It's just an outline. One running stitch, then your craft foam, then your top layer of fabric over that, and your layer underneath. And then you're going to let all of that tack down at one time. Okay, that's what the second step is. And I will come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, now so you can see it has tacked down both the back and the top, and I'm going to go now and trim around it. Trim everything, your foam and your material from this side, and trim your material around the outside from the back. Okay, don't tear your stabilizer. That needs to stay, carefully in the hoop like anything else. But let's go trim it, and then I will show you what that looks like. I just realized that I said trim the foam. You don't have to. It's going to pop right out when you get finished because of that satin stitch that'll sew down. So I trimmed the fabric here and the fabric here, and I'm going to put it back in the machine, and it's just going to do a tack down stitch around the edge so that it can finish up in the middle. I'll let you see after that's done. Okay, this is what it looks like after the tack down stitch, and the next stitch is going to sew a placement stitch right in here. So I would also go ahead and match your bobbin thread right now, because everything that we do right now is going to show up on the back of your mirror. So you want it to be cute. You don't want that old ugly white bobbin thread. So I have gone ahead and matched my bobbin thread. Okay guys, here's that placement stitch. There's 2 rings because if you haven't already made your template, you can use the inside circle to make your template. That's going to show you where your mirror board sits, and then you're going to put your top ring over the top of it so that's what you're going to get. And it's going to come in and tack down the outside of this right here first, and you've got to figure out how to make it stay put. I'm going to put some tape on this and then put it under there and let that outer ring tack down stitch will go down. Your mirror board shouldn't pop out, okay? If you've done a good job of it, making it the right size, it should be too big to come through that center hole, okay? So try hard to get your circle this inner ring right here. So you can either use the original template from this, which is what I did, and make it a little bit smaller, or you can wait until you get to this step and use that inner ring. That inner ring is exactly where you're going to place that mirror board. See that? And the outer ring is for the outside edge of your top. All right, I'll tape it down and I'll let you see how I do mine. Okay, see, I just put some Scotch tape on the edges. Maybe that's not the best idea, but I haven't come up with a better one. I don't know how to use the spray starch to get this to stay down, and just sticking your fingers in there is not smart at this point because it's going to get way too close to your fingers to hold this down with your hands. So find some tape, or if you can manage your basting spray to hold that down, that's great. Whatever works for you. Some people I've seen use painter's tape, like the blue painter's tape. So fasten it down in place, and then let's put it in there and let it run that outline stitch on the outside edge. Okay folks, see how it tacked down the edges all along here? And yes, I had to watch it very carefully, and I believe that it caught all the edges. I was looking carefully to see if any of it slipped. You really have to watch your machine carefully, and you might have to press and hold somewhere a little bit to kind of make sure it gets under that needle. But there it is. And now I'm going to take my tape off and I'm going to put it back in the machine, and it'll do a satin stitch on this ring here and along the outside, and then it'll be finished. So I will let you see after my next step. Okay, y'all, so the first thing it does is sew this ring. Okay, and then it's going to sew the outer ring. That's so you can use different colors if you want. So I want to show you a couple of things so you can learn from my mistakes. I'm grabbing scraps because I'm just doing this mirror for this tutorial. So I wasn't doing a whole lot of thinking like when I've made my purses before, and I don't have quite enough stabilizer in here, okay? So my tearaway is really thin, and I really could have used a stronger stabilizer. So think before you're going to do your project. So it's my design's slipping just a hair. That's reality sometimes when we sew. I want to get where you can see this. You see this thread that's showing right here? Okay, that was the thread. I left the pink thread in from here to do the tack down stitch out here. So, because it's always possible to have just a little bit of slip, okay, you ought to match your thread. Had I have used this green, you probably wouldn't even notice that it slipped. And you could go ahead and use your piece and it would be fine. But mine is obvious. So think before you start your project. Always make sure you have a strong enough stabilizer, and think before you hit play on your machine or go, whatever, however you want to call that. Think that are my threads going to stick out and show anywhere when I'm done? Because the more you can match those threads, the less likely you are to have something like this happen. But it's not a big deal for me because I'm just doing this, you know, so y'all can see how it goes together. But there you go. There's your learning lesson. So now I'm going to go and let the outside stitch, and that should be our final stitch. Once again, make sure your bobbin threads match. I did match my green, so it'll show. But you still have the inner ring that's going to show on the back. There's no way to get it. There's no way to fix all of that, okay? Some of it's just going to show because of the way we're putting it together. Okay, guys, it's all done. Now we are going to pop it out of this hoop. And so now you can see that this should just pop away pretty easily. That foam just pops right out of there. Okay, and then I can clean off the stabilizer and this, and I'll show you when it's finished. Okay, y'all, all finished. So you see how the back is? Now I haven't cleaned up my edges. Okay, if you've watched my other videos, you know that I take my little hot iron and go and clean those edges up. And if there's any white stuff showing, you can always go and take a marker and color it in. But that's it. I hope that helps. I realize these are a little bit confusing, but honestly, when you follow her instructions one step at a time, it usually just comes together. But there it is, all pretend. And now we can fix our hair and face, you know. Y'all have fun. Make your purses, post them online so we can see them. And don't be afraid to try things like the little accessories. They're a lot of fun. So God bless, and y'all have a great day.